Hello, this is an analysis of the movie Dear Frankie. This analysis is not based upon any official type of analysis. It represents my own view, and so you can disagree or agree with me as you like. First thing we're going to talk about is setting. Setting of the movie. That has to do with where and when the movie is shot. This particular movie takes place in a small town in Scotland, Glasgow, and notably there are scenes from Frankie's home. The movie is shot in present time. Next thing we're going to talk about is characters. And we'll be starting with Lizzie. Lizzie is the mother. Is she perhaps an overprotective mother? Is she a liar? She has visible emotional scars from her past, dealing with a former violent husband. Still very skeptical of seeing other men, starting a new relationship. She seems like a good-hearted person. She cares very strongly for her son, Frankie. She is torn between the conflict of telling Frankie about his real father and showing him to the stranger. After all, Frankie's father is dying, but then Frankie's spare father might be a better truth for Frankie. Some keywords is overprotective, kind, a liar, a bit stressed out. She's also confused and she might need help. Frankie is a little boy, nearly 9 years old. He is deaf and very skilled at geography. His father is lying on his deathbed. Maybe he did some drugs and got terminal cancer. We don't know much about Frankie's father. Frankie is deaf and he doesn't speak, but at the end, when the stranger says his goodbye, Frankie opens his mouth and speaks for the very first time in the movie. We understand that this is an important turning point. Suddenly he shows his voice. He's not afraid, and in a way it is as if he is giving away a precious gift, as well as he's letting his soul speak. The stranger has a deep and profound influence on Frankie. He seemingly gets better results in school, and he definitely improves his football performance with his new dad watching his play. Childhood is a magical but precious time of our lives, and children badly need support of adults. And Frankie reminds us about the importance of this. The stranger. We know very little of this man, except that he comes with a ship and goes away with the ship. He might be some sort of a sailor or a fisherman, perhaps. Is he perhaps a benevolent angel? Or is he rather a merman, a temporary gift from the sea? Lizzie's favorite song is that of a white knight in shining armor who comes to rescue her, take her with her on his horse, and ride with her to bliss, eternal bliss, and to be happy for the rest of their days. She is fantasizing of a figure from a fairy tale, and what she gets is sort of reminiscent of that. A man from the sea, a merman, who comes into her and Frankie's lives and sort of rescues them. He has no known name, so therefore he might not be human, because only human carry names. It's an earthly, human thing to have a name. So this man is a mystery, he is an enigma. We only know that he is the brother of Marie. So he must at least be half human. The other half is unknown, like more than half of the sea also is unknown. Everything that is below the sea level is unknown. And like an iceberg floating in the sea, we only see the tip of the iceberg. The stranger talks about having 1 day left. That is, 1 day left to have solid ground underneath his feet. 1 day before it takes the ship Accra which has the same name as the capital of Ghana in Africa. We understand that the ship is going far away. Ricky Monroe, aka the bully. Lizzie doesn't like it when Ricky stands in Frankie's bed, so this guy is an unpleasant fellow, playing that of a bully, but also a friend. Marie, Lizzie's friend. Lizzie's friend who looks out for her and her son, who helps Frankie and brings him back to home once when he was lost, looking for his father to come from the ship. So she's a true friend, representing the spirit of friendship. The character Marie shows us how important friends are in life. Nell, the grandmother, we know that she is very concerned for her daughter and her grandson, and she is a smoker. She has heard Frankie's voice before, and she says at some point during the film that Frankie has got a lovely voice. Children trust their grandparents. Often there's a special bond between them, and I would argue that that is also the case for this movie. And the last character I'm going to talk about is Catriona, Frankie's, well, girlfriend, I suppose we could say. She is Frankie's best friend. She is a true friend, and there are some sparks in the air. Maybe they are secretly in love. She speaks of mermaids, and she tells Frankie that she believes in them and that the sea is full of them. She also says that the truth is tricky. And like most children, she is curious and opens up Lizzie's wardrobe closet to Lizzie's dismay. Plot has to do with what actually happens in the movie. I advise you to go to Internet Movie Database, www.imdb.com, and find out the plot of the movie, or see the movie. But I'm going to read a few things. Frankie is 9 years old and deaf. He lives in Scotland with his mother and grandmother. As the movie opens, the family has just moved again. Frankie doesn't know why his family moves so frequently, but they are fleeing from domestic violence. To protect her son from the brutal truth and to provide him with a semblance of nurturing father, Frankie's mother claims that his father is absent because he works as a merchant seaman on a ship named the Accra. Frankie has kept up a lively correspondence with his dad. However, Frankie's mother has been intercepting the boy's letters and writing responses, always signing "Love, Dad." This deception threatens to unravel when the Accra actually docks at the seaport in the family's new hometown. Point of view. There is no official narrator in the movie, except that we can from time to time hear Frankie thinking as he's going through his letters. We experience the story directly through sound and images, and sometimes through the voice of Frankie. So there is a limited omniscient point of view in this movie, I would argue, because we have access to Frankie's thoughts, but to none other of the characters' thoughts. Theme. Some general themes include friendship. Lizzie has a good friend in Marie. So the movie might be showing us the importance of friendship in our lives, how hopelessly hard our lives are if we are without friends. And I'll call this emotional stability. A rock can symbolize steadiness, reliability, and something that you can trust, something that is permanent. And when Frankie decides to throw the rock he at first cherished so much, then that has indeed a profound meaning. When he throws that rock away, he's sort of throwing away his security. Because he doesn't need it anymore, he lets it go. He has achieved a sort of state of security. He has advanced to a new level, a new state of mind, in which he no longer needs his former sense of stability. He's got this stability within himself now. He's sort of grown up. Maybe that's a better name for it. Getting a second chance. Frankie suffers from his parental situation. It is not fair that a small child should suffer because of the wrongdoings of others. He deserves a good, harmonious upbringing, like every other child. With his second dad, he's offered a spare dad, and this is the chance that he embraces. And then truth, or what is truth? Catriona, Frankie's friend, tells him that the truth is tricky. In a conversation about whether or not Frankie's father will want to see him when the Accra comes into port, she says, "You want to know, but you don't want to know." So the girl then equates the truth about Frankie's dad with learning the truth about whether or not mermaids are real. This relates to the overall theme of this movie because for young children, belief may be more important than fact. And this is exactly Frankie's situation. He embraces a false father, while perhaps secretly knowing deep inside that this is not his real dad. But believing that he has a benevolent father is perhaps more important to him than the brutal truth. It allows him to develop into the wonderful child that he has the potential to be, to flourish, grow, and be happy. Communication. When Frankie starts at a new school, the headmistress seems to think that there is something wrong with Frankie's head. But his mother quickly denies this, saying that only his voice is absent, not his mind, not a bit. So this has to do with seeing the small, invisible voices. Everyone has a voice, even if it does not speak out loudly. All we have to do is to listen carefully. Life lies. When the stranger leaves, Frankie takes his world map with numerable marks of his fictional father's non-existing journeys off the wall, because he doesn't need this map anymore. So he no longer needs this big lie that has been his life lie. He has now matured beyond this. Another thing is that at the end it becomes clear that Frankie had known all along that his father was sick and that the stranger was not his real dad. But he seems to play along with this charade that his mother starts and keeps going through many years. Perhaps it is so that we need comfortable life lies in order to live, to be happy. We need to believe in these comforting lies, even though deep inside of us we know they are not true. Perhaps this is the case. The sea. A voyage in fiction often means a transition, going from childhood or youth to adulthood or maturity, going from a state of crisis to a state of tranquility. It usually means that there will be some sort of a profound change in one's life, which is exactly what is happening in this film. When the stranger travels away on his ship, everything in Frankie and Liz's lives has been changed. And mermaids. Catriona is talking about mermaids and that the sea is full of them. Maybe this symbolizes hope, a new start. Fantasy of fiction becomes reality. This represents an escape from the often harsh reality into an imaginary world where everything is magical and wonderful and everyone is happy. Everyone is happy. Then there's the issue of parenting. How should a single mother raise her child, her son? Does every child deserve a father figure? There are some ethical issues here as well. The movie touches an ethical issue. Is it wrong to lie to your child, even in the interest of protecting it? This is an issue of trustworthiness and also of caring. Your child will probably find out sooner or later that you have lied to him or her and might confront you with it. Then there's disabilities, health issues, disabilities like deafness. How do we interact with non-hearing children using non-verbal communication? And the last theme I have found is romance. The theme of love is also one in this movie between Lizzie and the stranger, who dances to Liz's favorite song about a fairy tale. a knight on a white horse to come and take her away from her sorrows.